Do you want to leave your country? Because I do. Not to say that my country is bad. I am from England and it has its perks and it has its disadvantages. And frankly, because I've lived here for all my life, I kind of know all of them and I'm a bit bored. The thing is, moving and working abroad seems like there's always a set amount of jobs you can do. And it's either teaching or caretaking or working in a factory or something like that. But I worked my arse off to become what I am. And I want to be able to keep using those skill sets. But for all of you who don't know who I am, my name is Jada Solves, your resident engineer, and I have been a production engineer for at least 4-5 years. And I love what I do. I enjoy the perks of the job. I enjoy what I create with the companies that I work with, and I want to expand that horizon. But the thing is, my type of engineering isn't something that you can easily find online. Obviously, I could go and branch off to other types of engineering, but I like what I do, and I'm going to try and see if I can find something similar. And it got me wondering, instead of the most known engineering careers like mechanical, civil, software engineering, I wondered what other engineering types can you do abroad and how do you even get to them? So if you do work in the STEM industry and you do want to find yourself abroad, comment down below what you're going to do. And if you are abroad, please let me know. Please let us all know. We all want to try and expand our horizons. And I'm going to give you 5 roles that I've discovered you can do abroad, just as long as you've got the right qualifications, experience, and you know where you're looking. A bit of a disclaimer though, not everything I'm going to say is going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy to get into. Not every career guaranteed sponsorship abroad. Most foreign companies, especially companies that aren't branches from parent companies in your home country, they would want to hire local work, and you have to prove to them with experience and expertise to tell them why you should be hired by them, because in the end, local competition is easier to manage and easier to employ than foreign people. So definitely before you dive into it, make sure you understand what certificates you need to have, the average level of experience you need in order to consider these roles, and start building up your portfolio and your CV so that you can prove to these future employees that you are worth their time, effort, and money. Also, it's probably a good idea to research the country you really want to go to, whether it's a country that you've always set your eyes on, or you've just applied to a company and they happen to be in X country. Make sure you figure out what their visa laws are and you understand the rules, because if you don't, that probably will spell quite a bit of trouble. But anyway, let's get into these roles. Role number 1, validation and verification engineer. So what do? They can do all these and they can be found in all these industries. There's quite a few words and I didn't want to say it all out loud. Pause and read if you feel like it. But essentially, why are they global? Because global companies are looking for international talent, because they have testing centers everywhere. Products can be made in one country and tested for another, and it's imperative that the country that the product is going to be used in matches the specific specifications and regulations, and that's where you as a verification engineer comes in. There'll be a lot of international collaboration, site visits around the world. So if you're good at testing, technical writing, root cause analysis, and have a particular attention to detail, as well as the proper experience in said industry, companies will love to hire you, because frankly, you have the experience that will take years of training and verification when you're just right there. So go for it. Role number 2, reliability/maintenance engineer. Like the previous role, I'm going to put what they do on this side and which industries you can find them in. Obviously, it's not a full list, but definitely a place to start. But essentially, you're going to be a jack of all trades for this particular product your company wants you to know. You become responsible of making sure that the product works, and this product could be anywhere and everywhere. It could be in different plants in different countries or across the same country. You also may be responsible of standardizing the maintenance. So that could also mean training across the board and across the globe. So if you're good at statistics, data analysis, productive maintenance, risk assessment, and can be a bit hands-on, companies will love to take you on, because frankly, products and equipment can cost millions if they're not done properly. And frankly, it is cheaper to hire a skilled engineer to do the work instead of replacing something broken that costs billions of dollars to fix. Role 3, functional safety engineer. It kind of sounds like the last one, but trust me, there is a bit of a difference. Anyway, what they do and which industries they are for. Don't forget to pause if you want to read them. But essentially, you need to know the regulations. So reliability engineers from the previous role that I talked about is making sure that the product or the equipment just keeps running. A functional safety engineer makes sure that what's running is to regulation and to standards. And these standards change no matter where you go. So you have to be able to understand quite a bit. So if you have the ability to go through any risk analysis principles, understand systems engineering, have a good grasp on safety regulations and standards, especially in the country that you're living in or will be residing in, and have a good grasp of critical thinking, companies would love to hire you because all this will be highly specialized and highly niche. It's not every day someone comes around and knows exactly how to do something safely to the rules and regulations and to figure out a way to continue to make it safe or to make it safe from the get-go without breaking any laws. That's important for a company who wants to avoid spending millions of dollars in fines. Role number 4, digital twin engineer. I think you know the drill. Here's what they do, and here are the industries you can find them in. Pause to read if you want to know more. But essentially, these guys will create virtual models of the product or the equipment that will be made by the company. There'll be a lot of failure testing and a lot of iteration in regards to this. Like a draftsman or an industrial engineer who works quite predominantly with CAD, you can go into this industry and make sure that everything you're doing works and can work better with a few extra things. Companies will be hiring international people for the job because these are very highly transferable skills. Digital transformation is growing globally. Gone are the days where you find a physical paper drawing, and you most likely, as an engineer, expect a digital copy of whatever legacy product is out there. The experience is very transferable, but because the experience is transferable, you will have a bit of competition with the local people. So make sure you have the exact experience that the company wants, plus a bit extra, just to give you that little oomph, so that they can consider sponsoring your visa. Role number 5, systems integration engineer. This is for my software engineers out there. I don't know too much about software engineers, so you're going to have to really figure this one out. But I will help you by putting in my favorite columns of the video. Don't forget to pause if you want to know more. But essentially, large international companies need their systems to communicate with each other, especially when they have different types of systems that worked really well for one company. A good example would be when a large international company requires a smaller company, and it is the systems engineer's job to integrate the new company's systems into our bigger overlord of the company's systems. So if you're good at communication, systems thinking, troubleshooting, and project management, as well as knowing the technical skills needed in order to make the system integration as smooth as possible, international companies will be running to grab your CV because engineers like that need to be experienced, and experienced engineers in this type of field are hard to find, and good ones are priceless, no matter where they're from. So those are my 5 roles, but there are so many more. But before you go on your search, here are a few tips to find said jobs online. Tip number 1, don't just search for the general title of the engineer you want to be. So instead of saying mechanical engineer, be more specific. What I normally do is I go to ChatGPT and ask it what are the categories of engineering I could do when looking for a job, and that can leave you with a lot of options. Tip number 2, target multinational companies. It's very unlikely that you will find a local company that will sponsor your visa ship from the get-go, but international companies, large companies as such, you will have a better chance of finding roles that fit your needs. So make sure that when you're looking for any companies in particular that they have offices worldwide. Tip number 3, use certain keywords. Here are the keywords that I usually use. If you don't use those keywords, you might find yourself back to local job searches, which is not what you're trying to achieve. So make sure you add those keywords so that the jobs that you're looking for do come up. Tip number 4, follow international recruiters. As cringy as it can be, LinkedIn is your go-to place. A lot of international companies tend to go to LinkedIn because LinkedIn is a HubSpot, and as much as you might hate it or love it, it is a necessary tool. And then before you know, they might even post a job and you might find it in your feed literally minutes after they post it because frankly you followed them. So get that follow list up and running. And tip number 5, gain those certificates. No matter which industry you're in, a few certificates under your belt just makes you look like a more well-rounded engineer. And along with those certificates, tip number 6, build experience and also have case studies for said experiences. Gives you a bit of ammo, especially if you get to an interview point of the job search. It's very easy to say, I can do this and this and this, but the recruiters and your potential employees will be absolutely awestruck if you said, yeah, I did this and it caused this result. So anyway, those are the roles that I found, but do you have any international roles that you could suggest? I am still looking around. It hasn't been easy, but I'm still very positive, and I think you, myself, and everyone who wants to go and explore new lands will get there. Just take a bit of patience, take my tips into account, and do your best. Anyway, I hope you have a good day. I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.